juice, baby. Yeah. Miracle, miracle juice. Miracle, miracle juice. Miracle, miracle juice. Miracle, miracle juice. We keep having all these problems. How we gonna solve them? Every day it's the same thing. Yeah. All these unsolved issues, I guess it's official. Here we go again, the same old thing. And I'm tired of the arguing and lying. So goodbye, all the hurt and crying. Things will change in you, so how can I expect something new? It's the same old thing.
Good morning, everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is June the 30th, 2025, and today the topic is integrity. Happy Monday. It's Happy Monday, everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. Mine was just fine. Yes, mine was good overall. Look, man. This is the 7th day, right? The Lord brought me back to start doing the juice last Monday, and I'm back again. So look, maybe we back, y'all. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? I'm here for it. I am here for being back, and sharing and doing the juice, man. It's, again, y'all know this has been a life-changing experience for me, just doing this. And so, like I said, it was kind of weird. That hiatus was weird a little bit. And I'm like, Lord, is this you? Is this me? What is this? And now that I'm back, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be back. I'm grateful to have something to share. And I'm grateful for anybody that listens, and supports or whatever in any aspect. Shout out to the people that are live right now. Good morning to you guys. It's like 7 something in the morning where I am. And so, like I said, usually back in the day, I was trying my best to have the juice recorded before 6. And I was always surprised if anybody was tuning in live, because I'm like, at one point I was only doing audio, so it didn't really matter what time I was recording. And then y'all should know this story already, but long story short, my niece called me out and was like, Auntie, I want to see you for your show. And I was like, and I asked the people on Facebook, I was like, y'all want to see me in the morning time? And everybody voted yes. And I'm over here like, okay, just as long as y'all know that whatever I look like in the morning, that's what y'all gonna get. And I'm not doing nothing special or nothing. I'm just gonna come and record and stuff like that. And so that has been well received, man. If you really go back and like look at different juices, like there was one time I had like a face mask on. There was one time I came with rollers in my hair. Like, the juice is very, very interesting. NJ is home as well, so who knows if he's gonna wake up and make an appearance today. And that's usually something that kind of happens sometimes too on the juice. So you just never know what you're gonna get with the juice, man. But it's such a blessing, man. It's such a blessing. And I have been encouraged and inspired to come this morning, and today's topic is about integrity, friends. Integrity. What got me to this today? Well, for those of you all that already know, if you tuned in to anything on our platform over the weekend, then you may know that your girl had a conversation with Allie recently, and it's going to be airing tomorrow. She actually put it out there to y'all in last night's live, and she gave me this huge, amazing shout out, and me and GSL, and yeah, let you guys know about her first. It's like going to be technically her first episode of the GSL talk show with us, because like the other time she came on the channel, it wasn't necessarily like any of our like regularly scheduled programming. You know what I'm saying? It was like a pop-up, like, hey girl, let's just meet and go live. You know what I mean? The first time we met. And so it was like, hey girl, that was that whole thing. And then the second time she came was also another situation. Her platforms were kind of acting weird or whatever. And I was like, hey, come on GSL. I don't think we're shadow banned, And so she came and, talked about porn that time. And that was years ago. And so, and obviously you guys know that we've shared, the content that she created. And I mean, I've been a part of the Telegram groups and all this stuff for years. And so they will be in the platform saying, hey guys, share this video. And so anything that she posted in that capacity to say, hey, share this, share that, we just shared it on our platform. all those years ago. And like I said, majority of you guys just now seeing it, and stuff. And I guess once the Diddy case happened, that's when the floods of people came our way. But, regardless, man, I guess I bring her up to say, that she is playing a part in today's conversation about integrity because, well, one, this is something that she's spoken over me quite a few times. When she talks about me, or she starts talking about like my integrity and things of that nature, and I'm like, I'm just honored again to know her and to be having regular conversations with her, just because I understand how big that is for someone in her situation to give me any type of trust, as somebody that she only knows through camera, you know what I'm saying, or only knows through our brief interactions over the years, so I'm truly honored anytime that she is seeing anything of value in me, just because again I know how hard it can be to trust people. I know how hard it can be to, I guess I'll just keep it there. You know what I mean? Just her having trust for anybody, including me, right? At this point in her life is a huge thing. At least I see it that way, just because when you hear her story, you hear her testimony, you hear everything she's been through, like she could easily just like have a hard time trusting people. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, it took her and Miss Shelley to build their relationship for years and stuff like that. To get to where they are, and to finally, she seems finally at peace with, the mother-daughter relationship finally, and then even this gentleman that is, adopting her to be the father figure or whatnot, even that I'm sure took a while and stuff like that. So I'm honored, that she would even consider me to be friend, and stuff like that. But regardless of that, right, friends, the interesting thing, so I woke up to a dream and I almost didn't like start trying to interpret it and stuff because it just seemed random. It was like about the housewives of Atlanta. I know it was like Nene in it, and she was talking about Candy and Portia, like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, I watch the series every now and then, just to, clear my mind and watch some mindless TV. But obviously it's been a while since Nene been on there. And so again, when I wake up this morning and this random dream is still in my mind, I'm like, should I even try to interpret this? But I did. I went ahead and tried, did my thing and try to like look into like the symbols and the things that were standing out to me, stuff like that. And it was interesting because in the dream, basically Nene was saying like, ooh, I guess it hurt her feelings that the relationship that she had with Portia and Candy was, tested or whatever. I can't remember exact words now that happened in the dream, but she was kind of, telling other people that she felt some way about that, but Portia had sent her some flowers or something, and she was getting ready to do her show and, stuff like that. So that's what was going on in the dream. And I'm like, okay, interesting, weird, I don't know, and then what time did I wake up this morning? I think it was, I didn't write down, the time because I didn't write down the verses that correlated with the time, but I did look into a couple of verses. I think I came across like Matthew and John 3:58, something like that, or 48. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and look and tell you guys the verses that I came across, and because I got my little notes of all that stuff. But I don't know if it played hand in hand with the juice, but I'm just letting you guys know this behind the scenes information so you guys know how I come to these topics. But anyway, so I did look into the verses centered around the time that I woke up and made that note, and then just going deeper about all those different things that I was receiving. I want to say the verses, if I can remember real quick, because I feel like it might be important, even though they're not in my notes to share. But the verses, one was talking about, I'm gonna try to use this other. I'm gonna move around. Hopefully I'm not messing up the app. to be moving into another app that I'm recording in, but I want to try to give you guys the information since it's standing out to me right now. All right, so the verses, let me see, can I find it? Okay, yeah, it was Matthew 5:39 and John 5:39. So those are the verses that I was looking into because I woke up at 5:39. So Matthew 5:39 says, "But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn them the other cheek also." And we know we don't like that verse. Look, turn the cheek, oh Lord, you know what I'm saying? But obviously, again, thinking about the dream, thinking about this verse, that was the start of my getting ready to start thinking about integrity. And then the second one was John 5:39, and it says, "You study the scriptures diligently because you think that in them you have eternal life. These are the very scriptures that testify about me." Obviously, that's Christ, things of that nature. But so yeah, those were the two verses. I didn't even mean or intend to share those with y'all, but hopefully that'll encourage and inspire and bless somebody just for me sharing those verses. But so I was reflecting on those two verses and thinking about the dream and trying to figure out, like, well, Lord, what are you saying to me today? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then I was going deeper about this thought about, this gift that Portia was given and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, Lord, I feel like I'm in a good place relationship wise. I feel like it's very interesting too, because the Lord, through the pastor yesterday at church. I finally got a chance to go to church, y'all, because usually I'm working in the kids' room, and so I think I've been to church like 5 times this year. I'm like, who's counting, But I did get a chance to go and sit in the service yesterday, and he was wrapping up his series about basically about relationships, and it was called "It's Complicated," and he was talking about toxic relationships yesterday. So y'all can go to mwchurch.com and go to the YouTube and check out that whole sermon for yourself. But obviously, I think I done been in a toxic relationship or two, you know what I'm saying, in my life, and it feels this way, or there's been different levels of toxicity, right? So again, to have this dream about friendships and relationships, and then, this verse here telling me to turn the other cheek, like, Lord, what are you saying to me today, right? So at some point I had some time to just reflect on a previous, I guess it's still a friendship or ongoing friendship that I have, but one that has shifted and has changed in a way, because I had to start setting up some boundaries and things of that nature. But regardless of that, so I was reflecting on that relationship, and then I also started to reflect on this relationship that I'm building with Allie, and the fact that she's speaking so highly and saying all these amazing, fabulous things, and including the word integrity when she describes me, stuff like that. And I'm like, well, Lord, I've always tried to show myself friendly. You know what I'm saying? I've always tried to be there for people. I try to be to people what other people have been to me. You know what I mean? I've had people that listen to me hours on end. They allow me to vent. They encourage me. They inspire me. They, motivate me, stuff like that. And so I try to be that way to other people, because I feel like, what you're giving, you should be giving back to others, right? Some people receive it, right? And I make new friends, right? But some people don't, and they ghost or they disappear, or the Lord prunes them out of my life. However it goes, that seems to be how it's been going and flowing in my life when it comes to quote unquote friendships and stuff. And so, like I said, we're thinking about all that, thinking about those dynamics, and thinking about, me and Allie has barely had time to like really, I guess we've cultivated a friendship over these years, but like we haven't got a whole lot of time to talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm trying to give her updates of like, I'm trying to give you splashes of who I am so you can understand, and vice versa. But then there's people that I poured into for years, talk to them every week, every day, you know what I'm saying? And it's like I don't know if they don't see the value in me as a friend. I don't know what it is, but it's just so interesting, right? How you can like know people for years and then feel like they don't know you at all, and then barely know people, and then they see you and value you from the beginning. So I think, again, thinking about all those different dynamics, and also thinking about integrity, that's where this conversation is coming from. So let's go ahead and get into it, because I know y'all probably like, here you go. But I just try to let y'all know where these things come from in my head, like y'all, because I know some things sound weird or whatever. Like I said, talking about, what was that the other day? Fruit and marshmallows. I know that kind of was like, what you trying to make an ambrosia salad, Miracle? No, like, no, this was a random topic. So I try to at least give you guys some understanding of how the Lord is speaking to me through these things. But let's go ahead and get into this conversation about integrity, and then I'll tell y'all my little updates and whatnot when it comes to my life and stuff like that. But okay, here we go. So integrity, it says the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Moral uprightness. So that sounds good and great. I'm like, well, Lord, I'm glad that somebody sees that in me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to sit here and act like I'm the best thing or whatever the case may be, or the the bestest person or whatever. But for someone to speak this highly and say that, hey, I see a quality of being honest and having strong moral principles in you, then that makes me feel like I'm on the right track. in spite of all the things. Matter of fact, I did see another quote when I was looking into integrity that kind of was similar to this definition, but I didn't write it down, and now I'm thinking about it, so I probably should have written it down, so my apologies. But I think all you got to do is just Google it. So if you go and Google integrity like I did, don't put integrity definition, but just put integrity. I think it'll pop up for you too, because you know how they do those little AI descriptions now? It's in that. So I saw that earlier when I Googled, and I didn't write it down, but go check that out if you feel led to do so. But anywho, so that's the definition, right? Let's hear what the Bible has to say about integrity. There's a couple of verses that I felt led to write down. One was Proverbs 10 and 9. It says, whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. So at the end of the day, like, I think, again, your fruit will speak for you, and stuff like that. It's going to show, I guess, your heart. It's going to show, you know, who you are, right, as a person and stuff like that. And so, you know, obviously you want to be somebody walking in integrity, right? And if you truly are that person, then it's going to, you know, people are going to see that. And so I think, you know, I guess that's why I'm where I'm at today. And again, not trying to puff myself up at all. I am human out here. I am flawed. I have sinned just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that it's nice to be seen for who I am versus, like, I guess maybe who people wanted me to be, or who people think I should be, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe the narratives that people make up about you. Like, have you guys ever been in that place where, I mean, I know I was with that with my ex. Like, I one of the things that I had to come to terms with about my ex, the gentleman that I was with before I met my husband, was that even though I think he was one of my longest dating relationships, and we even lived together, yeah, we were shacking up, y'all, and look, I'll tell y'all the whole story if I hadn't already. I'm pretty sure I have, but anyway, regardless of all that, basically, I had to be honest with myself one day to say, I feel like if my qualities was written down on a list and placed in a pile of qualities of other women, like, he wouldn't have been able to pick out me out of that pile. And that spoke volumes to me during that particular time, and was one of those things that kind of solidified that he wasn't the one for me. Because I'm like, how are you with me the longest? You know, you've had the opportunity to live with me, all these different type of things, and it seemed like you don't know me at all, or it seems like you have this narrative in your head about me, when at the end of the day, like, what have I done to warrant that? Like, what have I done to make you think that this is who I am? And even if it's because of your past trauma about, you know, you and your own situation, because I know he kind of had some mom issues and whatnot, but you know, even if it's that, I'm like, I've tried my best to go out of my way to be understanding of you and your past and all those things, and I feel like there wasn't that much grace and mercy for me in my stuff, in my past, and, you know, and all these other things. So if you're there, friends, if you feel like you're in that, you know, I guess this type of season when it comes to different relationships and stuff like that, I hope that you're encouraged and inspired to still, you know, hold on to your integrity in spite of the adversities, and you know, because you know who you are, right? And you know who God has called you to be. And so you don't have to lean into the narratives of others when you know deep down who you are, and again, who God called you to be. Like, be that person versus, you know, being who others think you are or want you to be. Because again, a lot of times people just keep saying things over and over again, and it's kind of like they say, it's kind of like, I know they talk about broadcasting is like casting in regards to like witchcraft, and that's the thing, is if you are, you know, people constantly say things in order to make it true, but you don't have to lean into none of that, right? You don't have to, you know, if someone's got, like, you could go around in life, right? You could be the happiest person, right? And people going around, are you okay? Are you sad? Are you sad? Oh, you look sad. You know, and people are saying that over and over again, and then you're thinking, am I sad? Maybe I am sad. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we tend to do a lot of times when we keep hearing things over and over and over again. That's why we got to stay in the Word, right? That's why we got to, you know, be confirming with the Lord of who He called us to be. Because sometimes we're doing that to ourselves, to be honest. Sometimes it's not somebody else. Sometimes we're doing that to ourselves. We're looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying, you know, I'm ugly, or whatever the case may be. And the Lord done said you beautiful, right? The Lord said you're beautifully, wonderfully made. You know, the Lord has said you are, you know, perfect in His eyes and stuff like that. But we're looking at ourselves and putting ourselves down for whatever reason, because I mean, I guess the enemy is using whatever our weaknesses are to, I guess, trying to again drive that wedge between us and the Lord. But I hope you guys are encouraged and inspired today, man. Look, have some integrity, you know what I'm saying? Have some integrity even for yourself and in spite of whatever you may be going through. Let me give you guys another verse, okay? And it's Proverbs 11:3. It says, the integrity of the upright guides them, but the crookedness of the treacherous destroys them. Now, once I wrote down that second verse and was looking at the other verses that I saw at Open Bible.info, since around integrity, I just was like, well, Lord, I feel like there's something else beyond just this information about integrity. Like, I feel like there's something missing from this conversation that I'm supposed to figure out, right? So I'm going deeper and I'm thinking about it and I'm trying to figure it out, like, what is missing. And I ended up coming across a few quotes. I was going to put openbible.info, but y'all know how to go to, I mean, I share this almost every day and I don't see it on my little list right now because I'm talking. But anyway, let's go into some of these quotes that were standing out to me, because I did feel like it was a deeper conversation to be had, other than just, again, having integrity and this biblical integrity and this situation about, again, being crooked versus being, someone of integrity. So let me go deeper about that, friends. This is what I came across. There was a quote that says, integrity isn't just moral uprightness, it's wholeness. And that was standing out to me, friends, because again, sometimes I struggle with, like, setting boundaries, right? Sometimes I struggle with, Lord, I'm supposed to love, right? I'm supposed to be friendly. I'm supposed to do all these things. I don't want to, not be friendly. I don't want to not show love and stuff like that. But people have a warped, skewed definition of love these days, right? Love is letting me do whatever I want to do, right? Love is you supporting everything I want to do, regardless of you or your beliefs or what you feel. You know what I'm saying? Love is, people got all these different ideas of what love is, when love is really like being able to tell you the truth in love, right? Love is being able to, walk alongside you when you're weak and things of that nature, help build you up, stuff like that. But not me becoming enabling to you, right? Not me laying down, my belief and my morals and values for you and your wrongdoings, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. And we may not agree, but my whole thing is, here's my thing, the love of Christ, right? As being a believer, I could totally disagree with somebody and still love you, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have no problem with anybody that I've ever encountered, and some that may have problems with me, maybe because maybe we didn't share the same beliefs about something or whatever. But my whole thing is, like, that didn't change how I felt about you, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't change anything that I felt towards you, us not agreeing, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I know we got free will, and so you can do whatever you want to do with your free will, and I can do whatever I want to do with my free will. And just because I don't agree with everything you want to do, don't mean that I don't love you, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. But if you don't want to talk about it, that's cool too. You can still live your life. It doesn't, I can't sit here and change anything about what you want to do with you in your life. And so even including if you want to cut me out of it, whatever the case may be, like, that's fine. You know what I mean? And it doesn't feel fine in the moments, because, for me, it's like, people, you talk to them, all this type of stuff. And it's like, so you somebody I talk to maybe like every week for about a year. And then all of a sudden you done cut me off because we not in agreement about, I guess you and your lifestyle choices or whatever. And I'm like, I mean, but my feelings about you haven't changed regardless, you know what I'm saying? But if yours has changed about me, then okay, you know what I'm saying? You have the right to feel that way, I mean, when did we stop being able to agree to disagree? I mean, I don't know when that happened, you know what I'm saying? But some people aren't able to do that, or whatever the case may be. So, I guess with that being said, friends, again, I guess I'm choosing to be whole, right? I'm choosing to be at peace, and I'm choosing to be who God has called me to be, regardless, right? And I guess if that's too much, right, for other people, the Lord is going to do what He been doing, which is either pruning them out of my life, or they're going to remove themselves, or whatever the case may be. I mean, or if we can still be friends, and we can still communicate, and we can still, you do your thing, I do mine, we still be cool and cohabitate as humans, then cool, that's great with me too. It seems like there's some comments there Let me pause real quick and see. All right, it says, you are someone special, says, hi, Miracle, amen. You have been able to set boundaries and still love them, but step back if you need. Yep. And that's the thing. You're right. Thank you so much for tuning in and commenting. But yeah, I'm totally fine. I mean, like I said, I feel like last year was a pruning season, and there were some friendships that, again, like I said, had shifted, and it's difficult because again, I'm try my best to be the same with everybody. Like at the end of the day, I'm gonna treat you with love, respect, kindness, be your friend, listen to you, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm probably not gonna agree with everything you say or whatever, but I'm not even the type of person that'll be like. It depends on who I'm talking to, because sometimes I know like who can receive truth and who can't, right? So sometimes it's about me just listening and being a listening ear, and then trying to be a voice of reason if you need me to be that. Some people, I'm able to share the truth in love and be bold with it a little bit more. It was usually depending on, like, again, where they were spiritually and, our relationship and stuff like that. And so, I mean, but maybe other people don't feel the same, and that's okay, but I can still have integrity, and I need to, right? We got to choose to be whole and have that type of integrity, regardless, right? Regardless of all those different things. Matter of fact, here's another quote that was standing out to me as well. It says, wholeness requires boundaries. So at the end of the day, in order for me to be whole, I got to, like, set some boundaries. Like, I can't sit here and be going with every, idea and stuff like that. I gotta, as a Bible believing Christian, and I know that's those things, because even earlier today, I might tell y'all about that later, but anyway, long story short, like, people have these ideas and they go with it, and they be so bold with it and stuff like that, and they feel some way if you have a different idea. And the thing is, like, as a believer, we should be lining up our ideas with the word, right? Now, this conversation is weird for people that aren't believers, right? If you're not a believer, then you feel like, oh, you're disrespecting me and my belief. Matter of fact, I guess since this is coming back in my mind again, let me go ahead and tell you guys a little bit about some stuff I was encountering yesterday. So, I just happened to share this thing about necromancy and tarot and, like, different occultic practices. I just happened to share it in the YouTube community yesterday, and here comes some comments and responses of people that I guess were offended by that. And my thing is like, well, you're not really offended with me, right? You're offended with what the word said at the end of the day, like, because these aren't my ideas, what I just shared. This is biblical stuff. And I don't necessarily debate about Bible. Personally, I don't do too much debating about the Bible. I read it, I share it. People can come, we can have conversations, and sometimes maybe in the comments I might respond to something like that, but not too much. I don't go too much back and forth about, especially if you're an unbeliever and you're like, either you haven't read it or, what I'm saying? There's just all these different reasons why I don't necessarily debate Bible like that. Like, because for me, I feel like, okay, we can both read it, right? We can have, I guess, your different interpretation, or you can believe that it's not there or whatever, or you can believe that it's not true. You got that free will to do that. But all I'm going to say is, like, this is what it say, and we're supposed to live accordingly if you're saying that you believe the Bible, that you're a believer in Christ. So, why are we not lining up every idea with that is my question for quote unquote fellow believers. But that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, so that conversation got a little interesting, whatever. And I'm like, well, Lord, okay, should I respond? Should I not respond? And so I did choose to respond to a few of the comments that, people that were, I guess, feeling some way. And I just was like, look, at the end of the day, because they were talking about, respecting other people's beliefs or whatever the case may be. Or they like, that's what these Abrahamic religions, that's how y'all do or whatever. And I'm like, the Bible itself pretty much says that everything outside of Christ is antichrist. Like, that wasn't a Miracle Sims quote. You know what I'm saying? That was something that I came up with. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the Bible say. And I get it. That's a controversial statement because, there's all kinds of religions out here, all kinds of ideas and all kinds of things. And we got to decide what we believe out of all that stuff, right? And don't get me wrong. Like, I grew up as somebody that, obviously I've been raised as a Christian. Again, my mom was evangelists, things like that. So, obviously I was raised with Christ, but I had to build my own, right, relationship with the Lord as well. And there was some point, I want to say maybe like in my teen years, when I was thinking about college and when I was thinking about like being out on my own and stuff, I considered the idea of maybe looking into other religions just to see, and stuff like that. I thought about it. And I have to a certain extent, not necessarily like practicing and going to different places, but I've looked into some different things every now and then about it. But for me, I just, because of my life, right, and the things that I've been through and the different crossroad moments in my life, there was never I guess, laying down a belief in the Bible. It was always I guess, wanting to understand more about what I say I believe, right? So I did take the time to, go on the journey of reading the whole Bible at one point, and all these different type of things. And so I say all that to say that I get it. There's a lot of ideas out here, right? But all I'm saying to fellow believers is, because this is the only, I can only say this to fellow believers, not necessarily people that don't believe yet or, stuff. That if you're a fellow believer and you say that at the end of the day, you understand all these different things, but you believe in Jesus and you believe the Bible, then what I'm saying is it shouldn't be weird or foreign to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I'm saying is not even, I don't even think that revolutionary here. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's pretty much telling us that, hey, man, again, like I said, everything outside of Christ is antichrist. And, and so either you believe that or you don't. And there's no pressure to me. I do think that's an important decision. You know what I'm saying? And I do think, like, I hope and pray that I'm encouraging people to consider the Lord. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to, like, is it going to change how I feel about someone or treat somebody or something like that? No, I'm going to still treat people with love, respect, or whatever. It doesn't matter, your practices. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to treat me, I hope you treat me with love and respect back. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to treat you with love and respect. I'm going to treat every human like they're human, But that's me. I don't know. I don't know why we all aren't capable of doing that. Like, and again, if you want to stand so firm for other people's ideas and beliefs and stuff like that, are you including also me, right? Are you including also Bible believing people? Like, can we have our opinion and moral values and, and have grace and mercy for what we believe? Everything can't be true. That's the thing at the end of the day. So, but we all can decide, I guess, what that means to us. And I guess what you believe is true. And I guess we'll all see, at the end of the day. So, that's just my little observation about it. Y'all can let me know how you feel. But, I don't know what else people, want people to do at the end of the day. Because, again, we got to be whole, right? We have to have some boundaries. Like, I can't, as a believer, right, if I claim to believe Bible and Jesus, like, I have to align myself and my life and my ideas with that. And, and I think that's okay. Just like it's okay for you to allow your ideas and stuff like that, for you, right? Do that, you know what I'm saying? But I think the only thing is, when it comes to certain situations, we try to cross the boundary of other people then. And I know that's what people feel like we do, because when we share the gospel and stuff like that, people feel like, oh, that's what you're doing to me. But I feel like there's a difference between sharing the gospel and telling somebody, hey, choose you this day who you're going to serve, versus like trying to force people to go with you and your idea, make it law, make it, counseling people, all these different type of things to then say, but then turning it around and saying, oh no, that's what you're doing, because the Bible is very, very strong and clear on certain issues. Like, it's a very interesting thing. Like, I feel like, and again, I've only stuck my toe in other religions, so I'm not sitting here trying to act like I've done deep dive studies into every other religion, so I know exactly, just a little bit of brief research and other things. But even with that, it's like, okay, at the end of the day, yes, there's these other options. You can decide again whether you believe that or not. I don't know, and so can I, right? And I can still treat you well. I still show love. I can still, respect you. And So boundaries, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a boundary there. Like, but when it comes, when you're crossing a line and trying to tell me, okay, now I need to, I guess, we can go deeper about this, y'all. But y'all done seen all the stuff that's been happening, especially over the past 4 years. Like, if y'all haven't seen that, I don't know where you've been. I don't know how you haven't seen it. Again, when it comes to school, when it comes to church, like when it comes to all these things, like, okay, fine, Lord. All right, well, this might be controversial, but here it is. Here's one thing, and I know the LGBT conversation is one of them tough ones, right? And I know we look wrapping up the quote unquote June and all this type of stuff. But what I'm saying to y'all is when it comes to this conversation, and I love people, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know if you read my book and everything like that, I have my own experience, okay? No judgment, you know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is there's a difference between like forcing like preschool and kindergarten kids to be learning about oral and anal sex. Like, I just don't understand. Like, and but then at the same time, like in this community, no shade. I'm not trying to be funny here, and I know sometimes when I say stuff, it can come out, it can sound humorous. So I'm gonna try to say with my straightest face possible. Like for me, like this conversation, like this community cannot procreate, and so therefore you're trying to tell parents that have procreated, how to, or what to expose their children to at these young tender ages that we know is a vulnerable age. The children are sponges, you know. And again, like with the experience that I had in my younger years, like it obviously had an influence over me in my life. You know what I'm saying? For me to be sitting here today and talking about the topics that I talk about, like, and I just thank God, right, that He was there, right, and planted those seeds and whatnot, and through my mother and stuff like that, that I was able to, you know, in my moments to choose Christ over my own idea or stuff like that. But I know everybody don't have that journey and stuff. And so, again, when you listen to Allie and her testimony, obviously it took her on a dark path, right? Dealing with the childhood trauma and stuff like that and the things that she was exposed to. And so, you know, all I'm saying is that's just one example. But do I still love LGBT people? Sure. You know what I'm saying? Do I still have some friends or whatever case may be? Yes. Am I going to, you know, support every idea? No. You know what I'm saying? And that's a boundary that I have to set up as a believer. And if they know me, right, and if they love me, then they understand that already, right? And vice versa. Like, I understand that you're going to probably want to go do your things or whatever the case may be. And I'm not going to treat you no different for choosing that, you know? But I don't feel like that's reciprocated when it comes to this particular community. And I get it. I know there's trauma. I know there's all kinds of church hurt. There's all kinds of things that have happened to people. And I'm not making light of those things as well. Because, yes, people use the Bible in a way that's nefarious. So I'm not, again, those people go through their things as well. And they're still humans out here. So I'm, again, no judgment from me. All I'm saying, this is just an example of boundaries, right? This is just an example of still, I guess, having to be whole and having to have integrity in spite of whatever the situation may be. All right, that probably was Pope. Y'all probably don't want to hear that. Y'all probably gonna come for me in the comments. But I'm just trying to give y'all examples, right, of how this thing plays out in life. But here goes some integrity tips, guys. You know, I didn't put them in the go deeper section, but I guess if you're listening to the sound of my voice and you made it this far, here are some tips for integrity that I hope will encourage and inspire you, friends. So first, protect your oil. All right, friends. You know, the oil, the gift that the Lord has given you may not be for everybody, right? Or maybe for people for a season, right? Like they say, for a reason, right? Or maybe even for a lifetime, right? But you're going to know who those people are and everything like that. So protect it, right? Protect your oil. At some point, when the Lord say stop, go ahead and stop. You know what I'm saying? If the Lord say continue, go ahead and continue. That's why you got to be in a relationship, right, with the Lord. The second thing is to grow. Growing, friends. Again, we can't, I mean, I feel like I know I'm the same Miracle Sims from 13 years ago, the one with the little fro talking to y'all about being single. I'm the same person, right? But at the same time, I'm a completely different person when it comes to, like, I would say my maturity, when it comes to, like, I guess where I am in life, the way I think it now, and the journey that the Lord has me on, like. And so because of that, you know, there has been some growth between then and now. And so there should be, right? Everybody should have that type of experience. There should be some type of growth and growing happening. So, just another thing to think about. That's a little tip when it comes to integrity. And the last thing that I felt led to write down about a tip would be to stay in position for the fruit that remains. Okay, again, we know that sometimes, like I said, there's been so many people. There's been so many people that I've tried to pour into, right? And sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, Lord, did I just waste my time all those years? You know what I'm saying? Did I waste my time, and stuff like that? Did I pour out the oil too much? Or whatever it is, right? But at the same time, I feel like the Lord has really took me on this journey, especially last year, to understand that it's not necessarily about me seeing the fruit all the time. It's about me being obedient in watering or planting or do whatever the Lord wants me to do, my part in the journey. And then from there, it's up to them and their heart and what they do with what they have received, right? And so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the growth and stuff in me to be okay with that now, because I really enjoy seeing fruit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not calling myself cultivation coach miracle for nothing. Like, at the end of the day, like, I would love to really help people, on their journeys of and just be accountability or whatever people need to help them get to the next step, right? But even with that being said, I understand that, either one, everybody may not be able to receive that. They might not be ready. There could be so many reasons why that can be difficult for, I guess, certain people and stuff. But hey, I'm going to just do my part, right? And even if the Lord just has me doing it in a mass way versus one-on-one, that's totally fine as well. Whatever the Lord wants me to do. And I'm at that point where I'm totally fine with that. And so yeah, I'm here for the fruit that remains. At the end of the day, like, I have no problem pouring into, good soil, right? Soil that, not receiving X, Y, and Z, I have to set up a boundary, right? And say, okay, I may not be able to pour as much into you, right? Things like that. So just things to think about. Here's the juice for today. I know after all of that, here's the juice. Here's the juice for today. Step into relational integrity, and it will come with peace, clarity, and His presence. So, friends, I hope you guys enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love. Oh, I almost forgot. Let me give you guys the Bible verse of today. Yes, the Bible verse of today is Matthew 5:10. It says, "Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Now, friends, I hope you guys enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye.